The complete works of Swami Vivekananda, lecture delivered at Los Angeles in 1900, The Open Secret, Part 2. In practical daily life, we are hurt by small things. We are enslaved by little things. Misery comes because we think we are finite. We are little beings, and yet, how difficult it is to believe that we are infinite beings. In the midst of all this misery and trouble, when a little thing may throw me off my balance, it must be my care to believe that I am infinite. And the fact is that we are, and that consciously or unconsciously we are all searching after that something which is infinite. We are always seeking for something that is free. There was never a human race which did not have a religion and worship some sort of god or gods. Whether the god or gods existed or not is no question. But what is the analysis of this psychological phenomena? Why is all the world trying to find out or seek for a god? Why? Because in spite of this bondage, in spite of nature and this tremendous energy of law grinding us down, never allowing us to turn to any side, wherever we go, whatever we do, we are thwarted by this law, which is everywhere. In spite of all this, the human soul never forgets its freedom and is ever seeking it. The search for freedom is a search for all religions. Whether they know it or not, whether they can formulate it well or ill, the idea is there. Even the lowest man, the most ignorant, seeks for something which has power over nature's laws. He wants to see a demon, a ghost, a god, somebody who can subdue nature, for whom nature is not almighty, for whom there is no law. Oh, for somebody who can break the law. That is the cry coming from the human heart. We are always seeking for someone who breaks the law. The rushing engine speeds along the railway track. The little worm crawls out of its way. We at once say, the engine is dead matter, a machine, and the worm is alive, because the worm attempted to break the law. The engine, with all its power and might, can never break the law. It is made to go in any direction man wants, and it cannot do otherwise. But the worm, small and little though it may be, attempted to break the law and avoid the danger. It tried to assert itself against law, assert its freedom, and there was a sign of the future God in it. Everywhere we see this assertion of freedom, this freedom of the soul. It is reflected in every religion in the shape of God or gods, but it is all external yet. For those who only see the gods outside, man decided that he was nothing. He was afraid that he would never be free. So he went to seek for someone outside of nature who was free. Then he thought that there were many and many such free beings, and gradually he merged them all into one God of gods, Lord of lords. Even that did not satisfy him. He came a little closer to truth, a little nearer, and then gradually found out that whatever he was in some way connected with that God of gods and that Lord of lords, and that he, though he thought himself bound and low and weak, was somehow connected with that God of gods. Then visions came to him, thoughts arose, and knowledge advanced, and he began to come nearer and nearer to that God, and at last found out that God and all the gods, this whole psychological phenomena connected with the search for an all-powerful free soul, was but a reflection of his own idea of himself. And then at last he discovered that it was not only that God made man after his own image, but that it was also true that man made God after his own image. That brought out the idea of divine freedom. The divine being was always within, the nearest of the near. Him we had been ever seeking outside, and at last found that he is in our heart of hearts. You may know the story of a man who mistook his own heartbeat for somebody knocking at the door. And when he went to open it, he found nobody there. So he went back again. Again he seemed to hear a knocking at the door, but nobody was there. Then he understood that it was his own heartbeat, and he had misinterpreted it as knocking at the door. Similarly, man, after his search, finds out that this infinite freedom that he was placing in imagination all the time in the nature outside his internal subject, the eternal soul of souls, this reality, he is he himself. Thus at last he comes to recognize this marvelous duality of existence, the subject infinite and finite in one. The infinite being is also the finite soul. The infinite is caught, as it were, in the meshes of the intellect and apparently manifests as finite beings, but the reality remains unchanged. This is therefore true knowledge, that is the soul of our souls, the reality that is within us, that which is unchangeable, eternal, ever blessed, ever free. This is the only solid ground for us to stand on.